My husband found his one true love and decided I reeked of money. In the 10th year of our marriage, he met the woman he called his soulmate. He said, "She's simple-hearted, nothing like you with your endless schemes. She's with me for love, not cash. What we have is real." Eleanor told me, "Ava, you're so obsessed with dollars you can't see anything else." Serena chimed in, "Sis, my brother's handsome and brilliant, of course girls chase him. Since they felt that way, I'd gladly remove my tainted self far away." I turned to my chief of staff and said, "Kill every credit card, cut the dialysis meds, change the front door lock, draw a line. I can do it with a razor blade." On our 10th anniversary, I'd planned a private dinner to surprise Ethan. Normally I wouldn't handle the details, but a last-minute whim sent me over early. His car was parked in the alley behind the cafe. My heart fluttered, surely he'd guessed my surprise. I slipped in the back way so I wouldn't ruin the moment. This was the tiny cafeteria where we'd once held our wedding reception, later turned into a boxed lunch joint. I'd rented it for the night and restored every decoration to the way it looked a decade ago, certain we still remembered why we'd started out. The rear door opened onto the kitchen. The chefs I'd hired were already chopping and steaming. The front room was dark. Hugging the wall, I crept inside, then heard a voice I knew too well. "She's going to force me to play lovey-dovey for the cameras tonight. The sight of her makes me sick. Money, 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 that's all she ever talks about. I have to kiss you first." Then came the unmistakable sounds of two people devouring each other. My knees buckled. I'd faced hostile boards and cutthroat competitors without blinking, but those noises knocked me flat. I'd given him 5 years of dating and 10 of marriage, 15 prime years of my life, and this was the payoff. I refused to accept it. "Ethan, I know you're trapped, staying for the kids' sake. I'll wait, I swear. The day you're free, we'll be together. Faye, you're so understanding, nothing like her. She's pushy, ruthless, never considers my feelings. Hang on to more years, till Max and Lily are older, and I'll find a way out." I couldn't take another syllable. I rammed the door open and stepped inside. They sprang apart, faces white. Ethan shoved Faye aside. Now I saw her clearly, one of the scholarship grad students my company funded, the same girl who'd attended our holiday gala. They must have started their little fairy tale that night. She wore no makeup, hair in a high ponytail, faded denim jacket and skirt clean, fresh, the perfect poster child for poverty and virtue. Let's see how far that purity carries her out of the mountains without my filthy cash. "Ava, it's not what you think. Listen to me," Ethan said, smoothing his hair into a professorial mask. 15 years of my support had kept him glossy, no wrinkles, no belly. 40 looking 30, easy prey for starry-eyed co-eds. "No need, divorce papers can be filed this afternoon. I won't stage a fake photo op to save face," I answered, smiling thinly. "Stop pressuring him. He's thinking of the children." Faye shot back. "My kids are old enough to process a cheating father, and an unhappy marriage hardly produces happy children. So spare me the martyrdom excuse." Ethan tried to grab my hand. I flung him off. Faye's eyes reddened. She clutched his arm like a life raft. "Ethan, don't beg her." I almost applauded true love in all its glory. Just then chatter filled the room as Eleanor, Serena, and a string of relatives arrived, my sentimental surprise for Ethan. Years ago we'd been broke newlyweds. My bridal boutique just opened, Ethan's teaching salary pitiful, the faculty duplex his only perk. I'd even booked the same duplex for a nostalgic visit after dinner. The idea now turned my stomach. The relatives took in the scene, glances ricocheting, comprehension dawning. "Sit, everyone, standing silly," Eleanor declared, siding with her son. Serena tugged my sleeve, nails digging in. "Sis, big brother's hot, admirers are normal. Be sweet and he won't stray." I shook her off. She stumbled into a table, hissing. Eleanor glared. "Ava, you run this family like a dictatorship. We came as a favor. Keep throwing tantrums and enjoy your solo show." I laughed out loud. So they were gracing me with their presence. I looked straight at Ethan. "You know me, point of no return. Pick the day, we'll hit the county clerk's office." Humiliation was new to him. I'd always cushioned his ego. If he wanted to dine on my dime while bashing me, I'd flip the table. "Fine tomorrow." He barked and dragged Faye out. Jaws dropped. I headed for the exit. Eleanor chased me. "What about the banquet? Can't you swallow your pride? Look what you've done." I paused, eyeing her coldly. "Your son cheated. Why should I swallow anything? All you care about is money. You're never home. No wonder he seeks comfort elsewhere. Reflect on that. I need a vacation. Book me a European tour before my hospital stay." I stared, wondering how stupidity could walk upright. "Let your precious son book the tour group himself. Don't come to me. So stingy." My mother-in-law stomped her foot and didn't chase after me. When I stepped outside, Ethan's car was already gone. He clearly hadn't come home. I jumped into my own car and sped back to the Harrison estate. I had too much to do and was afraid I'd run out of time. I've arrived with 3 junior assistants, every one of them looking like we were headed into war. I'd never treated even a $10 million deal this seriously. Cancel the old lady's kidney transplant. One sentence from me and Oaf's pen clattered to the floor. Cancel it. But we only just secured the donor kidney. If we pull the plug now, we won't find another in time. I lifted my gaze to Oaf. Are you teaching me how to run my life? Oaf's face went white. He shook his head frantically. No, I'll Casey handle it right away. Back when I was pregnant with my first child, Eleanor had suddenly developed acute renal failure. At the time, the family didn't have a cent to its name and the house was chaos. Ethan's only response had been to cry, kneeling at her bedside and slapping himself. I'd waddled from client to client, pitching orders, until I scraped together the surgery fee and yanked her back from the gates of hell. Ethan had sobbed in my arms. Without you, I'd be motherless. You're my savior. I'll love you for the rest of my life. Ridiculous, isn't it? Now he thinks I've got too much money, that the smell of cash chokes him. Well, I'm giving them exactly what they wished for. Freeze every one of their credit cards. All of them. My second command sent the assistants scrambling. I motioned to estate. Changed the front door lock and garage every car except mine. No one else drives. I felt a twitch of anticipation. Let's see who jumps first. The Harrison estate stayed quiet all evening. I could picture it. Ethan was probably curled in his true love's lap, whining about the agony of living with me all these years. Eleanor had been whisked off by aunts who flattered her over mahjong while angling for her cash. Serena was out with her newest boy toy. She'd sworn she was off for a resort weekend. She wouldn't discover her cards were dead until checkout. Perfect buffer time for me to untangle the finances and make sure Ethan walked away with nothing. When the kids came home from boarding school that weekend, I called them into the study. I want you both to understand what's happening. I'm divorcing your father. Who do you choose to live with? They blinked. Max, older and more like me, answered first. I stay with Mom. Give me your reason. Ever since I was little, Dad only lectured me from on high. He never showed up. When I was sick, you guarded my bed. When there was a parent conference, you came no matter how busy. I don't need a father in name only. I'm with Mom too, Lily piped up. Dad's always too busy. I hardly ever see him. All right. I'll do my best to keep your lives normal. I hugged them, more determined than ever to end this farce of a marriage. The first bomb went off with Eleanor. On the third day, she came back from her card game, delivered by Ethan's aunt and uncle. Open up. She jabbed at the intercom for ages, but the staff had their orders. No one answered. What's going on? Open the door, Ava. She whipped out her phone and called me. I was watching from an upstairs window. I answered unhurriedly. Ava, look at the kind of people you hire. Not a single soul in charge. Casey sends someone to let me in. You've got the wrong address. This is my house and I'm divorcing your son. Go find him. Find him? You're divorcing? Suddenly she realized I was dead serious. Yes, divorce, so don't bother me again. Ava, this is my son's house. Open this door. Her blood pressure spiked. She howled into the phone. What's happening, sis-in-law? They're splitting. The aunt and uncle began to panic. This daughter-in-law is poison. I never liked her. Of course Ethan insisted on marrying the jinx. Eleanor stormed in circles. The jinx who saved your life over and over. Try showing some gratitude. I gave a cold laugh. Oh, and your transplant's off. The surgery's canceled? That'll kill me. You vicious woman, you're after our money and my life. She wailed, half furious, half terrified. Please, the money's mine. You don't have a dime. I paid top dollar for that donor kidney and you're not worthy, so I'm withdrawing it. Any problem with that? Since you think I reek of cash, don't use a penny of it. Wouldn't want to soil you. I hung up and blocked her. Outside, she hurled her phone to the ground, shrieking and jumping. If I were her, I'd treat that phone better. It would be the last decent one she'd ever touch. Sis, don't be reckless. Your daughter-in-law is capable and treats you well. Why let them divorce? The aunt and uncle tried reason. Bull. What's hers? It's all my son's. The money, the house, everything belongs to my son. Eleanor was beyond listening. A sports car screeched to the curb and Serena stormed out. What the hell? Ava's lost it, canceling my cards, embarrassing me at checkout. If she can't afford the lifestyle, don't flaunt it. Unlock my credit this instant. She kicked the gate, but the wrought iron didn't budge. Open up. She jabbed the bell and yelled. Save your breath, your sister-in-law won't let your mom in. They just fought. Talk to your mom, get her to apologize, stop the divorce. The aunt yanked Serena aside, pleading. Excuse me? She locked our mother out? Who does she think she is? Serena dialed me. I answered lazily, holding the phone away as her shrieks poured out. For inches, Ava, you bitch. Casey, open this gate right now. If Mom ends up sick, I'll finish you. Look in a mirror. Someone like you landing my brother was a miracle, and you dare bite the hand that feeds you? I'll have my brother Casey divorce you tomorrow. Tell him to hurry. I've been searching everywhere for him to sign the papers. I actually laughed. Ethan had blocked me. I was hunting him down to get the divorce finalized. Ava, have you lost your damn mind? Do you even hear yourself? My calm tone left Serena stunned. I'm perfectly lucid and I mean every word. The ones who can't face reality are all of you. I spoke evenly. Ava, I think you're getting too big for your boots. Think carefully, my brother's proud as hell. Once he decides to walk, you'll never get him back. Then speed him up and send him on his way. I'll thank you for it. Fine, I'll call him right now and we'll settle this face to face. Half an hour later, Ethan and Faye showed up. But clearly he hadn't come because his little sister snapped her fingers. Every one of Faye's scholarships had just been yanked and they were here to denounce me. Ava, open this door. When he realized the front door lock no longer answered to him, he raged on the porch so undignified I almost felt embarrassed for him. He had never once lost his composure over anything involving me. Apparently I didn't rate as high as Faye. I didn't open the door. I stepped outside. Phone calls muddle things. An iron gate between us keeps the conversation cleaner. The instant I appeared, Casey and the rest started barking, the racket numbing my ears. Shut up. One at a time. I flicked my wrist and silence dropped. Ethan lunged forward first. Ava, I always believed you were a prite. Seems I misjudged. Oh. I widened my eyes in mock surprise of pride from his mouth. I laughed. Why are you targeting Faye? If you've got a problem, aim it at me. The shots at you are queued up, the ones at Faye she earned. She used my money for tuition, lived the good life, then helped herself to my husband. Am I wrong to take aim? Such ugly words. It wasn't seduction, we're kindred spirits. Faye's eyes were red. Kindred spirits. Did your spirit stop at hand-holding, or did it graduate to hugs, kisses, maybe even further coursework? I'd fired the question so baldly that pure little Faye couldn't bear the shame. She crouched and sobbed, still remembering her line. You're bullying me. If I bullied you, I'd splash you across the internet, so the whole world could shout homewrecker wherever you go. All I've done is stop bankrolling your life, and that's bullying. By the way, cough up every dime I ever spent on you. That's step one to a clean slate. Are you trying to drive me to my death? Faye jerked her head up, glaring with stubborn, steely eyes. I didn't see death in them, I saw a coup. She wants my villa, my company, my throne. This is an uprising, not surrender. What you choose is your business. I'm merely doing what I should. I turned to Ethan. I see. When do we file for divorce? His eyes were a tangle of hatred, disbelief, and wounded vanity. Ava, you've turned into someone I don't recognize. How can you be like this? True. These 15 years I spoiled you, fed your worst habits, let you forget where you came from. Now I'll correct the ledger, item by item, until everything is back in place. If you insist, we'll start with lawyers and split the assets, he said. One sentence and his noble mask slipped. I couldn't help grinning. 5 inches. Ethan, did you ever earn a single dollar of this family's fortune? He opened his mouth and found nothing. From day one you collected your salary and never put a cent into the household. I built my business, bankrolled you, bankrolled your relatives. Wasn't that enough? And now you swagger in demanding half? I kept smiling, pressing closer. Doesn't matter, Serena cut in smugly. Marital property is joint. My brother gets 50%. Look at your lofty Ethan, so saintly when he's grabbing for cash. I smirked at Faye. Faye stared at Ethan, her face a knot of conflict. No problem. My legal team will litigate until the sun burns out and your reputation's crater. After all, I have ample proof you cheated. I signaled. My chief of staff jogged over with a fat envelope. I shook the photos through the bars. Serena and Eleanor scooped them up, took one look and froze. Bro, are you insane? You act smart, why pull such a bonehead stunt? Serena shrieked, pounding his arm. Ethan's face flamed tomato red. He couldn't raise his eyes. Faye hadn't dreamed I could dig this deep. Some tryst shots came from campus security cameras, grainy yet unmistakable. Quite adventurous, Ethan. Publish these to your university educational value, don't you think? Ava, if you dare, I'll kill myself right here. The threat of exposure buckled his knees. His lips quivered so hard he bit his tongue. Then play nice, sign the papers, and walk away with nothing. I waved. Another assistant trotted up with the drafted settlement. Don't you dare sign. Once you do, you're ruined. Serena blocked his hand. Eleanor snatched the papers and shredded them on the spot. Son, you wasted your best years on her. She owes you millions. What's a few dozen million to her? No way you leave empty-handed. Exactly, Serena chimed in shamelessly. You father to kids, no credit for labor? Pay up or we stall forever. My own children reduced to bargaining chips made me dizzy with rage. Still dare mention the kids? When my boutique was clawing uphill, I ran it single-handed, skipped meals. You'd rather shoot hoops than come home. I drank with clients until my stomach bled. I worked straight through both pregnancy sketches on a hospital drip. When I delivered Max, Eleanor was the one in award. When I had Lily, she vacationed abroad. Ethan? Off on some project, Mia for days. I couldn't go on how humiliating the price I'd paid. I wanted to slap myself awake. Back then all it took was Ethan's whispered "I love only you" and I swallowed every lie. Turns out I was the biggest lovesick fool alive. 6 inches quit bludgeoning Ethan with that sob story. He's told me everything. Faye burst out. Everything like what? Curiosity piqued. I raised an eyebrow. He was racing a deadline on his dissertation and you disturbed his flow, ordering him to mix formula. When he burned the midnight oil prepping lectures, you dragged him to drive the baby tour. Every interruption murdered his momentum. He's a genius smothered by your grocery lists. Why he hasn't soared is on you. Faye's thunderclap of logic left even Eleanor and Serena gaping, the air sizzling around us. Brains are wonderful things. I really hope everyone owns at least a scrap of one. I couldn't figure out what was wrong with Faye. I made a mental note. From now on, before I sponsor a student, I'll run a sanity check. No more bankrolling idiots, wasting my money and the country's resources. Isn't that what a husband is supposed to do? I asked, half smiling. She really was innocently cute. No. That's what ordinary people do, but Ethan can't be expected to. Making him do menial stuff is like throwing pearls to swine. Faye's eyes sparkled. Looks like Ethan had found his true love, so I'd better speed them on their way. In that case, hurry up and rescue him from this hell. Take him away. Don't let him rot here. I'm starting to feel sorry for you both. I nodded emphatically, tapped the divorce agreement, and urged Ethan to sign. Ethan looked dazed. Too much had happened too fast for his genius brain to process. Don't sign. Drag her to court, squeeze every cent you can. Serena, my sister-in-law, and Eleanor, my mother-in-law, tugged at him, trying to wake what little reason he had left. Sign. Once you do, you're free. No one can tie you down. Believe in yourself. You'll succeed the moment you leave her. Faye chanted like a witch casting a spell. After that dose of love potion, Ethan's eyes actually looked clearer. I seized the moment and handed over the second copy of the agreement. He shoved his mother and sister aside and scribbled his name at lightning speed. Florid, arrogant strokes. You had to admit the handwriting was gorgeous. Happy now? He sneered, thrusting the pages at me. For a split second even I thought he looked taller. Fool. You're ruined. She tricked you, bro. How could you be so stupid? Serena, my sister-in-law, and Eleanor, my mother-in-law, wailed in despair. They knew it was over. They were far more sober than Ethan. See you at the county clerk's office first thing tomorrow. With that contract in hand, I finally relaxed. I owed Faye thanks. Without her, this divorce might never have happened. Given Serena, my sister-in-law, and Eleanor, my mother-in-law's appetites, they'd have skinned me alive, siphoning off tens of millions before they were satisfied. Now I had to thank sweet, brave, pure Faye for brainwashing Ethan into a love-addled teenager. While he still believed money was filth, I'd hurry up and scoop the filth away so their simple, clean life wouldn't be polluted. I turned to leave, but Ethan called me back. Open the door. I looked over my shoulder, stunned. Open what? Why? Stop playing dumb. We've been standing out here forever. You've got what you wanted. So let us in. Serena, my sister-in-law, snarled. Let you in? Into my house? Why on earth would I do that? My question froze them. I'm warning you, don't push this too far. Ethan sensed something was off. He began to fear he'd been conned and, abandoning logic, kicked the iron gate. What did I do wrong? I'm in my own home, refusing entry to outsiders. How is that a crime? I asked pleasantly. Call the cops. We've indulged her long enough. She's out of control. Serena, my sister-in-law, whipped out her phone. 10 minutes later, two officers arrived to mediate. Cameron, you've signed a divorce agreement, but until you file it, your husband still has the right to enter the Harrison estate. Fine, let him in. I blocked Eleanor, my mother-in-law, and Serena, my sister-in-law, without ceremony. They're my family. Until the paperwork is done, they can live here. Ethan blustered, newly emboldened. Have it your way. I stepped aside with theatrical reluctance. Why make it hard? You always need forcing. Serena, my sister-in-law, deliberately armed my shoulder as she passed. The officers told me to sign the mediation sheet and were about to leave, when a shriek came from inside. Serena, my sister-in-law, tumbled out. Ava, where are my clothes? My jewelry? I spread my hands. Sorry, no idea what you're talking about. I'm renovating. The place has been emptied. That was what I'd been busy with these past days. All the luxury they'd leached off me gone. Not a trinket would leave with them. From Serena, my sister-in-law, and Eleanor, my mother-in-law's rooms, I'd hauled out mountains of jewelry, designer bags, shoes, and couture. Sold the lot at discount and trashed whatever remained. As for Ethan, a bigger surprise waited. His study had been stripped bare. Once, madly in love, I'd hunted down every volume he wanted. What I gave, I could also take back. Stop right there, I'm calling the police. Someone stole my things. Serena, my sister-in-law, clutched an officer. Eleanor, my mother-in-law, hurried after. To report a loss, you need receipts or proof of purchase, ma'am. "We can't file air," the cop said sternly. Only then did they realize how ruthless I was. They glared as though they'd happily eat me alive. I looked at Ethan on the steps. He hadn't melted down cultivated man, small fan club to impress. He simply knelt, white-faced, and enunciated, "You vicious woman, you've destroyed my paradise. Don't kneel, get up." Faye hauled on his arm. "Everything you lost, I'll win back, trust me." "Trust my ass." Serena, my sister-in-law, suddenly remembered who'd begged Ethan to sign. She slapped Faye. "Little bitch, this is all your fault. None of it would have happened without you. Why hit me?" Faye cupped her cheek and shrank behind Ethan. Eleanor, my mother-in-law, lunged to help pull hair. Ethan couldn't restrain to shrieking harpies. The officers finally pried them apart and escorted Ethan and Faye out. I was already in one of my cars, driving away. I felt nothing for the house. I'd list it tomorrow at a bargain price. Next morning, Ethan, with Faye in tow, met me at the county clerk's office. Faye's presence greased the process. The only hitch was the nauseating 30-day cooling-off period. Outside, I told Ethan, "Keep the car." He flushed, wanting to object, but couldn't after all. It had been my birthday gift to him. I'd never seen a dime of his salary. Faye bounced forward, chin high. "We don't want anything that's yours." She snatched the keys and hurled them at my feet. Ethan, aching with regret, stooped to retrieve them, but she dragged him off. I signaled my chief of staff. "You drive it." My chief of staff grinned. Just then Ethan's phone rang. The longer he listened, the grimmer he looked. Finally he shook free of Faye, sprinted over, and slammed my window with his fist. "Ava, you pulled my project? Are you insane? What do you think you're doing?" I rolled the glass down and spoke slowly. "You thought you earned those grants on your own? I bankrolled every one, earmarked for you. Now I'm taking them back. Any problem with that? You poisonous woman." Ethan was shaking with rage. "One more thing, I'd better warn you now so you don't show up at campus making a scene." I pulled out several sheets of paper and handed them over. "I was afraid handing you cash outright might bruise your delicate pride, so I had the university fold it into your salary stipend. You used to net $6,000 a month, suddenly you were pulling 30, all thanks to my subsidy. From now on, that ends." You're lying." Ethan snatched the papers, scanning them again and again, refusing to believe. See? I'd once been to consider it, padding every year with extras, letting a perfectly average lecturer dream he had projects and stipends galore. From today you're back to baseline, spotless. I won't drag you down any longer. I smiled as the window glided shut. "Just wait. Ethan will slap your face with the man he really is. I believe in him." Faye had no clue what she was wading into. As far as I knew, Ethan couldn't manage money. Years of my pampering had turned him into a big spender. Tens of thousands arrived every month and he burned through every dollar. I told him to enjoy life properly, pull his projects and reassign his grad students, give the kids generous severance and place them with better supervisors. I made sure my chief of staff took care of Ethan's students. I'd bankrolled them all and they'd been doing the real work. Ethan's talent was mediocre, his grasp half-baked. I'd only stationed someone to keep disaster at bay. Now there was no need, let him spread his own wings. I also froze every dollar our foundation funneled to the university, then leaked news of our divorce. His future treatment there isn't hard to imagine. But so what? These are mere material inconveniences. His goddess will surely lead him into the light. I counted days and nights, wishing the month would vanish. I hadn't expected Eleanor to crack first. The whole clan shared one habit: zero savings. They'd been hooked on my money so long that when the first of the month arrived, they simply waited for deposits, asking for more if the amount fell short. Now, with the tap suddenly closed and relatives sailing whichever way the wind blew, the gossip ignited. After Auntie went home and spiced up the tale, it swept through the family. They'd always envied Eleanor's cushy life. Now they swarmed to watch the bonfire. The more she'd preened and looked down on people, the harder the fall, and the colder the shoulder when she tried to visit relatives. As before, every door was conveniently shut. After repeated snubs, Eleanor finally understood the old days were gone. She spent her afternoons slumped in that cramped studio. The place was rented by Ethan, who'd begged the college for a temporary faculty studio and stashed the two women in the studio. Instead, when Serena went looking for her boy toy, she found herself blocked. She dragged Eleanor to the spa, but staff barred them at the entrance. Their memberships had been canceled. Life turned suffocating. Eleanor couldn't afford her dialysis meds. A body that might have limped along for years suddenly collapsed. Out of options, they cornered Ethan for cash. Ethan was already strapped. The school had lent him housing before learning about our divorce. Now Casey wanted the keys back. He was about to be homeless himself, and $5 or $6 grand a month couldn't cover two extra mouths. The three of them brawled inside that duplex. The noise horrendous. Just then Faye walked in, carrying a pot of porridge she'd cooked herself, an offering of love. Say what you will. The girl was tough. Without my funding, Casey juggled 3 jobs yet refused to quit school. Eleanor and Serena were already seething. One look at Faye and the dam burst. You did this, we were fine until you foxed your way in. Eleanor was too weak, so Serena sprang up, grabbing Faye's hair and swinging. Ethan blamed Faye too. The whole thing felt cursed. Cut it out, all of you, get out. He didn't bother separating them. Just herded the 3 women toward the corridor. Ethan, she's hitting me. Aren't you going to stop her? Faye wailed. Don't come around anymore, I've got too much on my plate. Ethan's words crushed her heart. Ethan, how can you disappoint me like this? I loved you. Sacrificed everything and you throw me out. Beat her. Shameless homewrecker, enjoying yourself now? Eleanor egged Serena on. Serena drove her knee into Faye's belly. Faye doubled over with a shriek. Don't hit my stomach. I'm pregnant. Her cry froze. Ethan, I'm pregnant, it's your baby. Tears streamed down her face. Didn't you say it was safe? Are you stupid? How will we raise a kid? Get rid of it, Casey. Ethan's face twisted. Serena hesitated for a second. But when she saw Ethan's resolve, she kicked twice, harder. Faye couldn't take it. Casey spotted blood. Ethan, help me. She stretched a hand toward him. Help? You've ruined my life. I never want to see you again. The truth finally slipped out. Faye stared, dazed. Then lunged and locked her arms around him. They'd battled into the hallway. The window stood open. No one saw clearly, but suddenly Faye and Ethan were gone. Wrapped together through the frame, Eleanor snapped back with a shriek and rushed to the sill. Then fainted at the sight. 11 floors, no chance of survival. My chief of staff pulled the footage for me. I felt nothing left to cling to. I took the kids and left that place, starting fresh. Later I heard Eleanor died not long after. Serena, unable to scrape a life together, disappeared without a trace. The end. Thanks for listening to today's story. If you liked the video, please hit like and share it with friends. We look forward to your thoughts in the comments. Feel free to share your views. And don't forget to subscribe for more gripping tales. See you next time.